When my sister looked me in the eye and said, "You're too old to be a bride," I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, just crack. Like ice on a frozen lake when the weight becomes too much. I was 42. She was 38. And the man I loved, the man I was supposed to marry in 6 months, was standing right there in my kitchen, saying nothing. That silence told me everything. My name is Charlotte, and for most of my life, I believed family was supposed to be your safe place, the people who held you up when the world tried to knock you down. My sister Vanessa and I had been close once, or at least I thought we were. We'd shared a bedroom growing up, whispered secrets under blankets, and defended each other on playgrounds. But somewhere between childhood and adulthood, something shifted. I just didn't see it happening. I met Daniel at a community fundraiser 2 years ago. I was volunteering at the silent auction table, and he was bidding on a painting his late mother had donated years before. He didn't win it, but he stayed to talk to me for an hour after the event ended. He had kind eyes, the kind that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. He was 50, divorced, with 2 grown children who lived out of state. He didn't make me feel old or past anything. He made me feel seen. We took our time. We went to farmers markets on Saturday mornings. We cooked together in his tiny kitchen. We talked about things that mattered. Loss, hope, second chances. When he proposed on a quiet evening in his backyard, with nothing but string lights and the sound of cicadas, I cried. Not because it was grand, but because it was real. I called Vanessa that same night. "I'm engaged," I said, my voice still shaky with emotion. There was a pause on the other end. Then, "Oh, that's nice, not wonderful. Now I'm so happy for you." Just nice, but I ignored the tone. I wanted to believe she was just surprised. The next weekend, I invited her over to meet Daniel properly. They'd met once before at a family barbecue, but only briefly. I wanted her to see what I saw, his warmth, his steadiness, the way he listened when I talked. I wanted her blessing, even though I didn't need it. She arrived wearing a dress I'd never seen before, cream-colored, fitted, with her hair curled in loose waves. She looked beautiful, but there was something about the way she moved through my apartment that felt deliberate, like she was performing. Daniel made coffee. Vanessa sat across from him at my small dining table, asking him questions about his work, his hobbies, his divorce. She laughed at his jokes, louder than necessary. She touched his arm when she spoke. I told myself I was imagining it. After she left, Daniel said, "Your sister's intense." I laughed it off. She's always been dramatic, but something about that afternoon stayed with me. A feeling I couldn't name. The weeks that followed were strange. Vanessa started calling more often, not to talk to me but to ask about Daniel. Where did we meet again? What does he do for work? Does he travel much? I answered because I thought she was just being interested. Sisterly. Then one evening, Daniel canceled our dinner plans. "Work emergency," he said. "I'm so sorry, Charlie. I'll make it up to you." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? But when I drove past his office on my way home, his car wasn't there. I told myself not to spiral. Not to become that person who checked phones or followed cars. I trusted him. I trusted us. 2 weeks later, Vanessa invited me to lunch. We met at a small bistro downtown. One of those places with cloth napkins and overpriced salads. She was already seated when I arrived, scrolling through her phone with a small smile on her face. "Hey," I said, sliding into the chair across from her. She looked up, and for a moment I saw something flicker in her expression. Something almost like pity. "Charlie," she said, setting her phone down. "I need to talk to you about something." My stomach tightened. "Okay?" She took a breath like she was preparing herself. "I've been thinking a lot about your engagement." "Okay," I said again, slower this time. "And I care about you. You know that, right?" I nodded, even though I wasn't sure where this was going. "I think you should reconsider." The words hung in the air like smoke. "Reconsider what?" I asked. "The wedding. The whole thing." She leaned forward, her voice soft, almost gentle. "Charlie, you're 42. You're past your prime. I don't mean that cruelly. I just mean Do you really think this is the right time to be playing bride? White dress, big ceremony, all of it? It's kind of sad. I stared at her. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. She kept going. And Daniel, he's a good guy, I'm sure. But he's been married before. He has kids. He's probably just looking for companionship, not, a real partnership. I just don't want you to get hurt. My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the table. Why are you saying this? I whispered. She reached across the table and touched my wrist. Because I love you. And someone needs to be honest with you. I pulled my hand back. I left the restaurant without ordering. I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried. Not because I believed her, but because she had said it at all. I didn't tell Daniel what Vanessa had said. I didn't know how to explain it without sounding paranoid or petty, but something had shifted in me. I started noticing things I'd overlooked before, the way Daniel's phone was always face down on the table now. The way he'd started mentioning Vanessa in casual conversation. Your sister texted me a funny meme. Or, Vanessa recommended this restaurant. When had they started texting? I asked him about it one night while we were washing dishes together. When did you and Vanessa exchange numbers? I tried to keep my voice light, curious rather than accusatory. He didn't look up from the plate he was rinsing. Oh, I don't know. A few weeks ago, she wanted to ask me about some tech issue with her laptop. I used to do IT consulting, remember? It made sense. It was reasonable. But reasonableness didn't explain the tight feeling in my chest. She's been texting you a lot, I said. Now he looked at me. Are you asking me something, Charlie? I met his eyes. Those kind eyes that had made me feel safe. Should I be? He set the plate down and dried his hands on the towel. Your sister is lonely. Her divorce was hard on her. She's reaching out for friendship. And I'm trying to be supportive. For you, for me. The words should have been comforting. Instead, they felt like a door closing. 3 days later, Daniel broke up with me. He came to my apartment on a Tuesday evening. I knew something was wrong the moment I opened the door. He wouldn't quite meet my eyes. He sat on the edge of my couch like he was afraid to get comfortable. I can't do this, he said. My heart was already racing. Can't do what? The wedding, us. He rubbed his face with both hands. Charlie, you're an incredible person. You are. But I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I don't think I'm ready for marriage again. I thought I was, but I'm not. I felt numb, distant from my own body. Is there someone else? No, he said quickly. Too quickly. This is about me. About what I need. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. Instead, I just nodded. Okay, he looked relieved. Like he'd expected a fight, and was grateful I wasn't giving him one. He left 10 minutes later. I sat on my couch in the dark and didn't cry. I just stared at the ring on my finger, a simple gold band with a small diamond, and wondered when I'd become so easy to leave. I called in sick to work the next day. And the day after that, I unplugged my phone and closed the blinds and let myself exist in the quiet darkness of my grief. On the third day, my mother called my landline, the one I'd forgotten I still had. Charlotte Marie, you pick up this phone right now or I'm driving over there. I picked it up. What's going on? She demanded. Vanessa said you and Daniel broke up. My hand tightened around the receiver. Vanessa said that? She called me yesterday. She was worried about you. Said you weren't answering your phone. When did you talk to her? I just told you yesterday. Honey, are you okay? Do you want me to come over? I closed my eyes. No, I'm fine. I just need some time. Well, Vanessa's coming by tonight to check on you anyway. She's bringing soup. I wanted to tell my mother not to let her. I wanted to say that the last person I wanted to see was my sister, but I was too tired to explain. Vanessa showed up at 7 with a container of chicken noodle soup and a sympathy card. She hugged me at the door. A long, tight embrace that felt more like a performance than comfort. Oh, Charlie, she whispered. I'm so sorry, I pulled back. How did you know? Daniel called me. He wanted advice on how to tell you. She walked past me into my apartment, setting the soup on the counter. He felt terrible about it. He really did. He called you for advice. I said it flatly, testing the shape of the words. Well, yeah. He knew we were close. He thought I could help him find the right words. She turned to face me, her expression soft with concern. Are you angry with me? Should I be? She laughed, a short, nervous sound. Of course not. Charlie, I had nothing to do with this. If anything, I tried to talk him out of it. You did? Of course. I told him you were wonderful, that he'd be lucky to have you. She stepped closer, taking my hands in hers. But I also told him that if he wasn't sure, he needed to be honest. It's better to end it now than to go through with a marriage he wasn't ready for. Don't you think so? I pulled my hands away. I think you should go. Charlie, please. Just go. She left, but not before saying, I love you. I hope you know that. I locked the door behind her and stood in my quiet apartment, my mind racing. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. I plugged my phone back in. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. Most from friends, some from family, a few from coworkers. But there was one. A single message from a number I didn't recognize, sent 2 days ago. You deserve to know the truth. Check Daniel's Instagram. A friend. My hands were shaking as I opened the app. I hadn't checked social media in days. I typed Daniel's name in the search bar. His profile loaded. The most recent post was from yesterday. It was a photo of him and Vanessa. They were at a restaurant, the same bistro where she'd told me I was too old to be a bride. They were sitting close, her hand on his arm, both of them smiling at the camera. The caption read, Sometimes the right person is closer than you think. New beginnings. I read it 3 times. Then I read the comments. Dozens of them. Hearts and congratulations, and you two look so happy together. My sister had stolen my fiancé, and she'd done it so smoothly, so carefully that everyone thought it was a love story. I stared at that photo until my eyes burned. Then I scrolled through the comments again, reading every single one. Friends of mine, people I'd known for years, were congratulating them. So happy for you both, and what a beautiful couple, and love finds a way. Nobody asked about me. Nobody questioned the timeline. It was like I'd never existed. I screenshot the post and texted it to my best friend Rachel, with a single word. Seriously? She called within 30 seconds. Charlie, I didn't know how to tell you, she said, her voice thick with guilt. I saw them together last week at the grocery store. They were holding hands. I thought maybe you'd already broken up, that maybe you just hadn't told anyone yet. They've been together for a week? At least. Maybe longer. Charlie, I'm so sorry. I should have called you right away. I hung up, not because I was angry with Rachel, but because I couldn't form words anymore. I sat on my couch with my phone in my lap, numb and hollow. Then something else took over. Not anger yet, but clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. I opened my photo albums and scrolled back through the last 3 months. There, a picture from my birthday dinner. Daniel and Vanessa sitting next to each other, their chairs slightly too close. Another from a family barbecue, Vanessa laughing at something Daniel was saying, her hand on his shoulder. And another from the fundraiser where we'd all volunteered together, the two of them sharing a quiet conversation in the corner while I was helping set up tables. I'd seen it happening. I just hadn't let myself believe it. I called Vanessa. She answered on the second ring, her voice artificially bright. Hey, are you feeling better? I was worried. How long? I interrupted. Silence. How long have you been sleeping with my fiancé? Charlie, I don't know what you... I saw the Instagram post. Everyone saw it. So don't lie to me. Just tell me how long. I heard her breath catch. Then in a quieter voice, it just happened, okay? We didn't plan it. We were both just there for each other. He was confused about the engagement, and I was going through my own stuff, and... He broke up with me 3 days ago, I said, my voice unnaturally calm. You posted a photo with him yesterday. That's not just happened, Vanessa. That's calculated. You're making this into something it's not. Then explain it to me. Explain how my sister ended up with my fiancé 1 week after he dumped me. Another pause. When she spoke again, her tone had changed. Harder, defensive. You want the truth? Fine. Daniel and I connected. Really connected. In a way that he said he never did with you. And yes, maybe the timing isn't ideal, but Charlotte, you have to understand. You were never right for him. You're too settled, too comfortable with being alone. He needs someone who can match his energy, someone who... I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Marcus. Marcus had been Vanessa's husband. They'd divorced 2 years ago, a messy, painful split that ended with Vanessa taking half of everything and Marcus moving 3 states away to start over. Vanessa had painted him as the villain in their story, cold, distant, unsupportive. I'd believed her because she was my sister, but now I wondered what I'd missed. He answered on the 4th ring. "Charlotte?" He sounded surprised. "Is everything okay?" "No," I said. "Everything is not okay." I told him everything. About Daniel, about Vanessa, about the Instagram post, and the carefully constructed timeline of their betrayal. I told him about the lunch where she'd called me too old, about the way she'd inserted herself into my relationship, about how easily she'd taken what was mine. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then Marcus said, "She did the same thing to me." My breath caught. "What?" "Not with a fiancé, but with my business partner, my best friend from college. She told me she was just networking, trying to help my career by getting to know the people I worked with. Then one day I came home early and found them together." His voice was steady, but I could hear the old pain underneath. "She made me think I was crazy for months before that. Told me I was paranoid, jealous, controlling, and when I finally had proof, she convinced everyone that I'd been neglecting her, that she'd been lonely, that it was somehow my fault." I closed my eyes. "I'm so sorry, don't be." I got out. It took me a long time to rebuild, but I got out. He paused. "The question is, what are you going to do?" I hadn't thought that far ahead. I'd been so focused on the betrayal that I hadn't considered what came next. "I don't know," I admitted. "Well," Marcus said slowly, "if you want my advice, don't let her win. Don't disappear. Don't hide. Make her face what she did." We talked for another hour. He told me stories I'd never heard, about Vanessa's pattern of taking what belonged to others, about her need to be the center of attention, about how she'd turned his own family against him during the divorce. By the time we hung up, something had shifted in me. I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious. And fury, I was learning, was much more useful than grief. I opened my laptop and searched for Vanessa's social media. She'd posted 3 more photos since yesterday, all with Daniel. Cozy dinners, sunset walks. The 2 of them looked blissfully happy in my stolen future. Then I saw it. A post from this morning. Big news coming soon. The comments were already flooded with speculation. "Are you engaged? And OMG, is this happening?" And say yes to the dress. I read the post again. Then I opened my messages and typed a text to Marcus. "Are you still single?" He responded immediately. "Why do you ask?" I took a breath and typed, "Because I have an idea, and I'm going to need your help." Marcus drove into town 3 days later. We met at a coffee shop on the edge of the city, somewhere neither Vanessa nor Daniel would accidentally run into us. He looked different than I remembered. Lighter somehow, like he'd shed a weight he'd been carrying. He was 45 now, with silver threading through his dark hair and lines around his eyes that made him look distinguished rather than tired. "Charlotte," he said, standing when I approached the table. He gave me a careful hug, the kind you give someone who might break. I didn't break. Not anymore. We sat down, and I pulled out my phone, showing him the series of posts Vanessa had made over the past week. The romantic dinners, the sunset photos, the cryptic hints about big news. "She's going to announce the engagement soon," I said. "Maybe even set a date." Marcus studied the photos with an expression I couldn't read. "And you want to beat her to it?" "I want her to feel what I felt," I said quietly. "I want her to know what it's like to have something stolen." He set the phone down and looked at me directly. "Charlotte, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Is this about revenge, or is this about justice?" I thought about that, about the difference between the two. "Both," I finally said. "She's done this before. To you, probably to others. She takes and never faces consequences because she's charming and she knows how to spin a story. I'm tired of being the quiet one, the understanding one, the one who just accepts it and moves on." Marcus nodded slowly. "Okay, then let's do it right. Not cruel, not petty, but strategic." He leaned forward. "Here's what I'm thinking. We spent the next 2 hours planning. It felt surreal, sitting in a coffee shop plotting out the details of a fake engagement with my sister's ex-husband. But the more we talked, the more it made sense. Not as revenge exactly, but as a mirror. A way to show Vanessa, and everyone else, what she'd done. Marcus and I had always gotten along. Even during his marriage to Vanessa, we'd had an easy friendship. He was thoughtful, funny, and genuine. All the things Vanessa had claimed he wasn't. Looking at him now, I wondered how I'd ever believed her version of their story. "We should make it public before she does," Marcus said, scrolling through his phone. "She's waiting for the perfect moment, probably some big dramatic announcement. We need to go first. How?" I asked. He smiled. "The same way she did. Social media. Make it look organic, natural. We'll start with a few casual posts. Us getting coffee, taking a walk. Let people wonder. Then we confirm it. Won't people think it's weird? You and me? Some will, but others will think it's romantic. Especially if we frame it right. Two people who found each other after heartbreak, who understand what it's like to be hurt by the same person." He paused. "And Charlotte, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be entirely fake." I looked at him, confused. "I mean, we don't have to actually get married," he clarified. "But we could date, see what happens. If it turns into something real, great. If not, we end it quietly after Vanessa's wedding chaos dies down." He reached across the table and touched my hand. "I'm not asking for anything from you except honesty, and maybe a chance to make her see that the people she throws away aren't broken. They're just free." I felt something loosen in my chest, something that had been clenched tight since the day Daniel left. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." That weekend, Marcus and I went to the farmer's market, the same one Daniel and I used to visit. We took photos, nothing staged, nothing forced. Just two people browsing vegetable stands and laughing at the vendor who sold nothing but 17 varieties of hot sauce. I posted one photo that evening. Marcus and I are holding paper cups of apple cider, the autumn light golden behind us. The caption was simple. "Sometimes the best things come when you least expect them." Within an hour, the comments started rolling in. "Wait, is this Marcus? Vanessa's ex? OMG, what is happening? Charlotte, you look so happy." And then, buried in the middle, "Good for you. After what your sister did, you deserve this." So people had noticed. They'd seen what Vanessa had done, even if they hadn't said anything to my face. I didn't respond to any of the comments. I just let the post exist. 2 days later, Marcus posted a photo of us at a bookstore, me laughing at something he'd said. His caption, "Rediscovering what it means to be seen." More comments. More speculation. More people connecting the dots, and then radio silence from Vanessa, no new posts. No cryptic announcements. Nothing. I knew she'd seen them. I knew she was furious. On Thursday evening, my mother called. "Charlotte Marie, what on earth is going on?" Her voice was sharp with confusion. "Are you dating Marcus?" "Vanessa's Marcus?" "His name is just Marcus, Mom. He's not Vanessa's anything anymore. But when did this happen? How did this happen?" We reconnected after Daniel and I broke up. He's been a good friend. It's turning into something more. The lie came easily because it wasn't entirely a lie. Marcus had been a good friend. And maybe it could turn into something more. I wasn't sure yet. Does Vanessa know? I assume so. I haven't hidden it. My mother was quiet for a long moment. "Charlotte, I need to ask you something. Are you doing this to hurt your sister?" I closed my eyes. "No, Mom. I'm doing this because I deserve to be happy. And Marcus makes me happy. If that bothers Vanessa, maybe she should ask herself why." My mother sighed. "This family is falling apart." "It fell apart the moment Vanessa decided my fiancé was hers for the taking," I said quietly. "I'm just refusing to be the only one picking up the pieces." I hung up before she could respond. That night, Vanessa finally called me. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened to the message. "Charlie, we need to talk. This thing with Marcus, it's not funny. It's sick. You're doing this to hurt me and it's not going to work. Call me back." I deleted the message, and then I texted Marcus. "She's rattled." Time for Phase 2. Phase 2 began on a Saturday morning, exactly 2 weeks after that first coffee shop photo. Marcus and I had dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown, the kind of place you go when something important is happening. We dressed up. I wore a deep blue dress I'd been saving for my wedding rehearsal dinner, and Marcus wore a suit that made him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. We didn't just take photos. We lived in the evening. We talked about his work in Seattle, about the consulting firm he'd built from nothing after the divorce. We talked about my job at the nonprofit, about the kids I worked with, about the grant proposal I'd been writing. We talked about our families, our regrets, our hopes for whatever came next. And somewhere between the appetizer and dessert, I realized I wasn't pretending anymore. "You know what's strange?" I said, setting down my wine glass. "I thought I'd feel guilty about this, using you, or manipulating the situation, or whatever this is. But I don't," Marcus smiled. "Maybe because you're not using me. Maybe we're just two people who got tired of being treated like we didn't matter." Is that what this is? I think so. Or maybe it's the beginning of something neither of us planned. He reached across the table and took my hand. "Charlotte, I need you to know something. Even if this whole thing with Vanessa didn't exist, even if we were just two random people who met at a coffee shop, I'd still want to be sitting here with you right now." My throat tightened. "Marcus, I know it's complicated. I know the timing is messy, but I mean it." I squeezed his hand. "I believe you." After dinner, we walked through the city center where a street musician was playing violin under the streetlights. Marcus pulled me close, and we swayed together to the music. Just two people dancing on a sidewalk, surrounded by strangers who smiled as they passed. A woman stopped and took our photo. "You two are beautiful together," she said. "Would you like me to send it to you?" "Yes," Marcus said, giving her his number. The photo arrived 5 minutes later. In it, my head was resting against Marcus's shoulder, his arms wrapped around me, both of us caught in a moment that looked, for all the world, like love. I posted it that night with a simple caption: "When you stop looking, you find what you needed all along." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of likes, dozens of comments. Friends I hadn't heard from in months reached out to say they were happy for me, and buried in the notifications, 3 missed calls from Vanessa. I didn't call her back. The next morning, she showed up at my apartment. I heard her knocking, loud, insistent, angry. I considered not answering, but then I realized I was done hiding, done making myself small to accommodate her feelings. I opened the door. She stood there in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked like she hadn't slept. "Good. Are you out of your mind?" she said, pushing past me into the apartment. I closed the door calmly. "Hello to you too." "Don't," she spun to face me. "Don't act like this is normal. You're dating my ex-husband, Charlotte. My ex-husband." "You're dating my ex-fiancé," I said evenly. "I guess we both have questionable taste." Her face flushed. "That's different. How?" "Because Daniel and I actually have something real. We're in love. You and Marcus. You're just doing this to get back at me." I walked to the kitchen and poured myself coffee, taking my time. "You're right about one thing. I am doing this partly because of you, but not to get back at you, Vanessa. To show you what it feels like. What does it feel like? To have someone take what's yours and act like it was theirs all along." I turned to face her. "You didn't just steal Daniel. You made me feel like I was crazy for even wanting him, like I was too old, too boring, too settled to deserve love. And then you took him and posted it all over social media like you'd won some kind of prize." "I didn't steal him. He chose me. After you spent months inserting yourself into our relationship, after you told him I wasn't right for him, after you made yourself indispensable." I set my coffee down. "You're good at that, aren't you? Making people think they came to conclusions on their own when really, you planted every seed." She crossed her arms. "You're delusional, am I? Because Marcus told me you did the same thing to him. With his business partner, with his best friend. You have a pattern, Vanessa, and everyone's too polite to call you on it. Marcus is lying. No, he's not. And you know it." I stepped closer. "Here's what's going to happen. You and Daniel are going to have your happy relationship. You're going to post your engagement announcement and plan your perfect wedding. And I'm going to be with Marcus. And you're going to feel, for once in your life, what it's like to watch someone else be happy with something you thought belonged to you. He doesn't belong to me anymore. I don't care what you do with him. Then why are you here? She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she had no answer. You need to leave, I said quietly. Charlie, get out of my apartment, Vanessa. She stared at me for a long moment, her expression cycling through anger, disbelief, and something that might have been hurt. Then she turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her. I stood in the silence of my apartment, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. Then I called Marcus. She came over, I said when he answered. And I told her the truth. Not all of it, but enough. How do you feel? I thought about it. Lighter. Good. He paused. Charlotte, I have something to tell you. I was going to wait, but I think now is the right time. What is it? I got a message from someone last night. An old mutual friend of mine and Vanessa's. She said Vanessa sent out save the dates yesterday. For her and Daniel's wedding. My stomach dropped. When? June 14th, June 14th. 3 months away. The same month Daniel and I had planned to get married. She's moving fast, I said, which means we need to move faster. Marcus's voice was steady, determined. Charlotte, I have an idea, but you have to trust me. What kind of idea? The kind that will make her engagement announcement look like an afterthought. Marcus flew back into town 2 days later with a small velvet box in his pocket. We met at the same park where Daniel had proposed to me almost a year ago. It felt like a lifetime had passed since that night. I was a different person now, harder in some ways, softer in others. Marcus sat beside me on the bench overlooking the pond. The early spring air was cool, carrying the scent of fresh grass and possibility. Before I say anything, he began, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to ask you, it's real for me. Not pretend, not strategy, real. My heart started racing. Marcus, he opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, with a sapphire stone that caught the late afternoon light. It was my grandmother's, he said quietly. The only thing I kept after the divorce that meant something. I stared at the ring, unable to speak. Charlotte, I know this started as a way to make Vanessa face consequences. I know we talked about it being temporary, strategic, but somewhere along the way it stopped being about her. He turned to face me fully. You make me laugh. You make me want to be braver. When I'm with you, I don't feel like someone's discarded mistake. I feel like someone worth knowing. Tears were building behind my eyes. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow, he continued. I'm not even asking you to marry me this year. I'm asking if you'll wear this ring and see where this goes. Really goes. Not for her, not for revenge, but for us. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability in the way he held the box like it might shatter. This man who'd been hurt the same way I had, who'd chosen to be kind instead of bitter. Yes, I whispered. He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes, and slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. We sat there for a long moment, his arm around my shoulders, both of us watching the sun set over the water. So, he said eventually, are you ready for phase 3? I laughed despite myself. What's phase 3? We announce it, properly, and we save the dates for our wedding. When? He looked at me, his expression serious. June 14th, my breath caught. The same day as Vanessa's wedding. Exactly. Marcus, that's poetic justice, he finished. She wanted to take your wedding date. Let's take it back. I thought about it, about what it would mean, about the chaos it would create, the confrontations, the family drama, about my mother's inevitable phone calls and the accusations that would fly. But I also thought about Vanessa's face when she stood in my apartment, unable to answer why she was so bothered by my happiness. I thought about Daniel's Instagram posts, flaunting his new relationship while I was supposed to quietly disappear. I thought about all the times I'd been the understanding one, the forgiving one, the one who absorbed the hurt so everyone else could be comfortable. Okay, I said. Let's do it. That evening we took a photo. Not a candid one this time, but a deliberate announcement. Marcus and me, the ring clearly visible on my finger, both of us looking at the camera with genuine smiles. The caption read, Life has a funny way of bringing the right people together at the right time. We're engaged. I posted it at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night, prime social media time. The reaction was instantaneous. Within minutes, hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments ranging from OMG congratulations to wait what to this is the plot twist of the century. My phone started ringing immediately. Rachel first, screaming with excitement. Then my coworker Diane. Then my Aunt Linda. Then people I hadn't heard from in years, all wanting to know the story. I answered some calls. Ignored others. Let the news spread organically. At 9:15, my mother called. Charlotte, please tell me this is real and not some kind of revenge scheme. It's real, Mom. You're actually engaged to Marcus? Vanessa's ex-husband? I'm engaged to Marcus, who happens to be a good man that Vanessa threw away. Your sister is going to lose her mind. That's not my problem. My mother sighed heavily. When's the wedding? June 14th, silence. Then, that's the same day as Vanessa's wedding. I know. Charlotte, Mom, I have to go. I'll talk to you later. I hung up before she could launch into a lecture about family harmony and taking the high road. At 9:30, Vanessa called. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened. You've got to be kidding me. You're engaged to Marcus? After 2 weeks? Charlie, everyone can see through this. Everyone knows you're doing this because of me and Daniel. You're making yourself look desperate and pathetic, and honestly, I'm embarrassed for you. Call me back so we can talk about this like adults. I deleted the message. At 10 o'clock, Daniel texted, Congrats on the engagement. Didn't realize you and Marcus were that serious. Hope you're happy. I didn't respond. Instead, I curled up on my couch with Marcus beside me, watching the comments roll in on our announcement post. Some people were confused. Some were judgmental, but most were supportive. After everything you've been through, you deserve this. Marcus is a good guy. Treat him right. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. You two look perfect together. And then one comment that made me pause. I always knew Vanessa was the problem. Glad you both found your way out. I showed it to Marcus. He read it and squeezed my hand. Tomorrow, he said, we will send the save the dates. I leaned my head against his shoulder. Tomorrow we will send the save the dates. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Vanessa and a text from my mother. Your sister is threatening to uninvite you to her wedding. Please call her. I made coffee instead. Marcus and I spent the morning designing our save the date cards. Simple, elegant, with a photo of us from the bookstore. The one where I was laughing, genuinely happy. The text read, Charlotte and Marcus invite you to celebrate their wedding. June 14th. Details to follow. We ordered 200 cards and had them expedited for next day delivery. Then we made a list of everyone we'd invite. Family, friends, coworkers. And yes, everyone who'd received Vanessa's save the date. Are you sure about this? Marcus asked, holding the list. I thought about the question. I really thought about it. I'm sure, I said. The save the dates went out on a Friday. By Saturday morning, my phone was exploding. Text messages poured in from family members, friends, even distant acquaintances I'd forgotten I'd invited. The messages ranged from excited to confused to outright shocked. Did you know Vanessa's wedding is the same day? This is awkward. Which one do we go to? Charlotte, what's going on? Is everything okay? And from my cousin Jennifer. This is the most dramatic thing our family has ever done, and honestly, I'm here for it. I responded to some, ignored others. But the one message I couldn't ignore came from my father. Charlotte, please call me. Your mother is beside herself. We need to talk about this as a family. I called him that afternoon. He answered immediately. Charlie Bear, he said, using the nickname he'd called me since I was 5. What's happening? I'm getting married, Dad, to Marcus. Vanessa's ex, to Marcus, who's a good man. He was quiet for a moment. I could hear him breathing, the way he did when he was choosing his words carefully. Is this real? Or are you trying to hurt your sister? It was the same question my mother had asked. The same question everyone was asking, and I was tired of it. Dad, why does everyone assume I'm the one causing problems? Why is it always Charlotte, don't hurt Vanessa, and never Vanessa, don't hurt Charlotte? That's not fair, isn't it? She stole my fiancé. She mocked me for wanting to get married at 42. She inserted herself into my relationship and destroyed it from the inside. And now that I'm moving forward with someone who actually values me, everyone's acting like I'm the villain. Your sister says you're only with Marcus to get back at her. Of course she does. Because Vanessa can't imagine that anyone would want something unless it was about her. I took a breath, steadying myself. Dad, I love you. But I'm not calling off my wedding. I'm not changing the date, and I'm not apologizing for being happy. Another long silence. Then, do you love him, Marcus? I thought about the question. About Marcus's steady presence, his understanding, the way he made me laugh. About how he'd listened to my story without judgment, how he'd offered solidarity instead of pity. About the morning he'd brought me coffee and remembered I took it with cream and no sugar. About the way he looked at me. Not like I was broken or desperate, but like I was someone worth knowing. I think I'm starting to, I said honestly. And whether this started for the wrong reasons or not, it's real now. He's real. We're real. My father sighed. Then I'm happy for you, Charlie Bear. Your mother will come around. And Vanessa? Well, she'll have to figure out her own feelings. Thank you, Dad. But Charlotte? His voice grew serious. Having 2 weddings on the same day is going to force people to choose. You know that, right? I know. And some people are going to choose her. She's younger, she's more visible. She knows how to work a room. I know that too. Can you live with that? I looked around my apartment, the space I'd built for myself, the life I'd created. Small, maybe. Quiet. But mine. I'd rather have 10 people at my wedding who genuinely love me than 100 who came for the show, I said. If people choose Vanessa, that tells me everything I need to know about them. My father chuckled softly. When did you get so wise? Around that time, I stopped trying to make everyone comfortable at my own expense. We talked for a few more minutes, then said goodbye. I felt lighter afterward, not because I'd won him over, but because I'd been honest. With him. With myself. That evening, Marcus and I met with a wedding planner. A small ceremony, we told her. Intimate. Maybe 50 people at most. Somewhere outdoors, simple but beautiful. Nothing extravagant, nothing performative. Just 2 people making a promise in front of the people who mattered. The planner, a woman named Susan with silver hair and kind eyes, listened carefully, taking notes. And you're aware, she said delicately, that there's another wedding scheduled for the same day? A family member? My sister, I said. Susan nodded slowly. May I ask why you've chosen the same date? Marcus and I exchanged a glance. Then I answered honestly, because she took something from me. And I'm taking it back. Susan set down her pen. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've seen every kind of wedding drama you can imagine. Family feuds, ex-drama, budget fights, you name it. She leaned forward. But here's what I've learned. The weddings that matter aren't the ones with the biggest guest lists or the fanciest venues. They're the ones where 2 people look at each other and mean what they say. We mean it, Marcus said quietly, taking my hand. Susan smiled. Then let's give you a wedding worth remembering. We spent the next 2 hours planning. A garden venue just outside the city. Spring flowers, string lights, a small reception with good food and better music. Nothing fancy, but everything intentional. By the time we left, it felt real. Not like a revenge plot or a social media strategy, but like an actual wedding. Our wedding. As we walked to the car, Marcus stopped suddenly. Charlotte? Yeah? I know how this started. I know why it started. But I need you to know, I'm not pretending anymore. When I stand up there on June 14th and say those vows, I'm going to mean every word. I looked up at him, at his earnest expression, and felt something shift inside my chest. Something warm and terrifying and real. Me too, I whispered. He kissed me then, right there in the parking lot under the streetlights. And for the first time since Daniel had broken my heart, I felt whole. The next week, Vanessa's official engagement announcement went live. A professional photo shoot, her and Daniel in coordinating outfits, posing against a sunset backdrop. The caption was long and effusive, full of words like soulmate and meant to be, and finally found my forever. It had over 1,000 likes within an hour. But buried in the comments, I saw something that made me smile. Congrats. Will this be before or after Charlotte's wedding? Same day, right? And beneath it. Wait, they're both getting married the same day? That's messy. The truth was spreading, and people were starting to ask questions. The weeks leading up to June 14th were a study in contrasts. Vanessa's wedding preparations were everywhere on social media. Dress fittings with an entourage of bridesmaids, cake tastings documented in Instagram stories, posts about flower arrangements and color schemes and whether the napkins should be blush or champagne. Mine were quiet, private. Marcus and I chose our vows together over coffee on Sunday mornings. We picked flowers at a local nursery, selecting simple wildflowers instead of elaborate arrangements. We sent personal invitations to the people who mattered, not announcements, but handwritten notes explaining that we'd love their presence if they could make it. No pressure. No drama, just an invitation to witness something real. The responses were telling. My best friend Rachel responded immediately. I'll be there with bells on. So proud of you. My father sent a card. Your mother and I will be there. We love you, my cousin Jennifer. Wouldn't miss it. Team Charlotte all the way. But some people sent regrets. Apologetic messages about prior commitments, which we both knew meant they'd chosen Vanessa's wedding instead. Some didn't respond at all. It stung less than I expected. Each decline clarified things, showed me who had been in my corner all along, and who had simply been keeping up appearances. Marcus handled it with remarkable grace. The people who matter will show up, he said. Everyone else is just background noise. 6 weeks before the wedding, Vanessa showed up at my office. I was in the middle of reviewing grant applications when my coworker knocked on my door. Charlotte? Your sister's here. I looked up, surprised. Tell her I'm busy, I tried. She says she's not leaving until you talk to her. I closed my laptop and stood. Fine. 5 minutes. Vanessa was waiting in the lobby, wearing designer jeans and a silk blouse, looking like she'd stepped out of a catalog. Her engagement ring, enormous, impossible to miss, caught the fluorescent lights. Charlie, she said when she saw me. Can we talk? Privately? I led her to a small conference room and closed the door. You have 5 minutes. She sat down, folding her hands on the table. I came to ask you to change your wedding date. I almost laughed. You're joking. I'm not. Charlie, this is insane. We're sisters. We shouldn't be doing this, making people choose, creating all this drama. It's embarrassing for everyone. Then you change your date. I can't. Everything's booked. The venue, the caterer, the photographer. We've sent out invitations. People have made travel plans. So have I. Your wedding is smaller. It would be easier for you to move it. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. She looked tired beneath the makeup. Stressed. Good. Let me understand this, I said slowly. You stole my fiancé. You mocked me for wanting to get married. You posted your happiness all over social media while I was grieving. And now you're asking me to accommodate you? I didn't steal Daniel. He made a choice. After you spent months manipulating the situation. That's not... She stopped, pressing her fingers to her temples. Charlie, I didn't come here to fight. I came to ask you, as your sister, to please not do this. Move your date. Have your wedding another weekend. Let's not make this family a civil war. It became a civil war the moment you decided my relationship was yours to destroy. I'm getting married, she said, her voice rising. This is supposed to be the happiest time of my life, and you're ruining it. I'm not ruining anything. I'm living my life with my ex-husband, with a man who treated you better than you deserved, and who you threw away for someone else's husband. The words hung in the air between us. Vanessa stood abruptly. You know what? Fine, have your wedding. Invite whoever you want. But don't expect me to pretend this is normal. Don't expect me to be happy for you. I don't expect anything from you anymore, Vanessa. That's the whole point. She stared at me for a long moment, her eyes bright with unshed tears. Then she turned and walked out. I sat in the empty conference room for several minutes afterward, my heart pounding. Part of me felt victorious, but a smaller, quieter part felt sad. Sad for what we'd been as children. Sad for the sister relationship that could never be repaired. Marcus picked me up after work. One look at my face and he knew. She came to see you. She asked me to change the date. And you said? No. He pulled me into a hug, right there in the parking lot. I'm proud of you. It doesn't feel good, I admitted into his shoulder. It's not supposed to. But it's right. That night, lying in bed unable to sleep, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. The small betrayals, the gaslighting, the years of making myself smaller so Vanessa could shine brighter. The pattern I'd enabled by never standing up to her. I thought about Daniel too. About what I'd lost and what I'd learned. He'd been a good man in many ways, kind, thoughtful, attentive. But he'd also been weak, susceptible to flattery, to the idea that something shinier was better than something real. Vanessa had seen that weakness and exploited it. I didn't miss him anymore. I missed the future I'd imagined, but not the man himself. And Marcus. Marcus was different. Steady where Daniel had been uncertain. Honest where Daniel had been conflict avoidant. Marcus had been burned the same way I had, and instead of becoming bitter, he'd become wiser. 3 weeks before the wedding, the final guest count came in. Vanessa's wedding, 230 guests. Mine, 47. I looked at the number and felt nothing but peace. 47 people who loved me enough to choose my happiness over social obligation. 47 people who mattered. Marcus saw the list and squeezed my hand. Quality over quantity. Always. The final 2 weeks passed in a blur. Dress fittings. I chose a simple ivory dress, tea-length, with delicate lace sleeves. Nothing extravagant, but it made me feel beautiful. Hair and makeup trials. Final meetings with the florist and the caterer. Writing our vows, which we decided to keep secret from each other until the ceremony. Rachel threw me a small bachelorette party, just 5 of us at a wine bar, laughing until our sides hurt, telling stories about bad dates and worse decisions and everything we'd survived. To Charlotte, Rachel said, raising her glass, for choosing herself. To Charlotte, the others echoed. I drank the wine and felt, for the first time in months, genuinely happy. 2 days before the wedding, I got a text from my mother. Vanessa isn't speaking to me because your father and I are coming to your wedding instead of hers. Just wanted you to know. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, I'm sorry she's making this difficult for you, but I'm grateful you'll be there. My mother's response came quickly. We'll always choose both our daughters. But today, we're choosing the one who needs us more. I cried reading that. Not sad tears, grateful ones. The night before the wedding, Marcus and I had dinner at his apartment. No bachelor or bachelorette parties tonight, just us, Chinese takeout and a bottle of wine. Are you nervous? He asked. Terrified, I admitted. Not about marrying you, about everything else, about what tomorrow means. It means we're choosing each other in front of the people who matter. Everything else is just noise. What if people talk? What if they think we're petty or vindictive? He set down his wine glass and took my hands. Charlotte, people are going to think whatever they want. We can't control that. All we can control is whether we mean what we're about to promise each other. Do you mean it? Every word, he said without hesitation. Do you? I looked at this man who'd entered my life in the strangest way, who'd offered me solidarity when I needed it most, who'd somehow become the person I wanted to wake up next to. Every word, I whispered. June 14th dawned clear and bright, with the kind of perfect weather that makes you believe in signs. I woke up early in the hotel room I'd shared with Rachel, my maid of honor. She was already awake, coffee in hand, scrolling through her phone. Vanessa posted a wedding day story at 6 a.m., she said without looking up. Full glam squad, champagne, the works. Good for her, I said, and I meant it. I didn't have space for bitterness today. Rachel set her phone down and looked at me. How are you feeling? Ready, I said. And I was. We got ready slowly, peacefully. Rachel did my hair in soft waves. I did my own makeup, simple, natural, just enough to feel polished. When I slipped into my dress, I looked in the mirror and saw someone I recognized. Not the woman who'd been broken 4 months ago, but not entirely new either. Just more myself. You look beautiful, Rachel said, her voice thick with emotion. Thank you for being here. Nowhere else I'd rather be. The ceremony was at 2 o'clock. deliberately chosen to be after Vanessa's noon wedding. Marcus and I had discussed it. We didn't want to compete. We just wanted our own moment. The venue was a small garden estate on the edge of the city. White chairs arranged in rows beneath an arbor covered in climbing roses and wisteria. String lights hung between trees waiting for evening. A wooden platform where we'd exchange vows, surrounded by wildflowers in mason jars. 47 guests. Every single one had shown up. My parents sat in the front row, my mother dabbing at her eyes before the ceremony even started. My father gave me a small wave, pride written all over his face. Rachel walked down the aisle first, steady and smiling. Then the music changed. Not a traditional wedding march, but a gentle acoustic guitar piece Marcus and I had chosen together. I walked down the aisle alone. Not because no one was there to give me away, but because I was giving myself. To this moment, to this choice, to this man waiting for me at the end of the aisle with tears in his eyes. Marcus looked handsome in a navy suit, his hands clasped in front of him, watching me approach like I was the only person in the world. When I reached him, he whispered, "You're stunning." "You're not so bad yourself," I whispered back. The officiant, a friend of Marcus's from college, began the ceremony with warmth and humor. He talked about second chances and unexpected paths, and the courage it takes to choose love after heartbreak. Then it was time for vows. Marcus went first, pulling a folded piece of paper from his pocket. His hands shook slightly as he unfolded it. "Charlotte," he began, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "When we first reconnected, I thought I was helping you with a plan. A strategy, but you gave me something I didn't know I needed. You reminded me that I was worth more than how I'd been treated. You showed me that moving forward isn't about forgetting the past, but about refusing to let it define your future." He paused, taking a breath. "I promise to always see you. Not the version you think you should be, but the person you are. I promise to choose you every day, even when it's difficult. I promise to build a life with you that's honest and kind and real. Because, Charlotte, you are the realest thing that's ever happened to me." I was crying before he finished, happy tears that I didn't bother wiping away. Then it was my turn. I'd written my vows on a small card, but standing there, I realized I didn't need to read them. The words were already in my heart. "Marcus, you came into my life when I was at my lowest, and instead of trying to fix me or save me, you just stood beside me. You didn't make me feel broken. You made me feel seen." My voice wavered but held. "I promise to honor that. To stand beside you the same way. I promise to be honest even when it's hard. I promise to laugh with you, dream with you, and build something beautiful with you. Not because it proves anything to anyone else, but because you make me want to be braver." I looked into his eyes. "I choose you. Today and every day after," the officiant smiled. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Marcus, you may kiss your bride." And he did, soft and sweet and full of promise, while our 47 guests erupted in applause. We walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, husband and wife, into our new beginning. The reception was simple and perfect. Good food, better conversation, dancing under the string lights as the sun set. My father gave a toast about second chances and choosing happiness. Rachel gave a toast about friendship and fierce loyalty. Marcus's best friend gave a toast about redemption and moving forward. No one mentioned Vanessa. No one mentioned Daniel. This day was ours, and ours alone. Around 8 o'clock, as I was dancing with Marcus under the stars, my phone buzzed in Rachel's purse where I'd stashed it. She brought it to me during a break in the music. "You might want to see this," she said quietly. I unlocked the phone. 3 missed calls from my mother. And a text. "Call me when you can." "It's about Vanessa." My stomach tightened. Should I call her back? Marcus read the message over my shoulder. "Do you want to?" I thought about it. About this perfect day, this perfect moment. About whether I wanted to let anything intrude on it. But she was still my mother. And despite everything, some part of me still cared. I stepped away from the reception and called her back. She answered immediately. "Charlotte, honey, I didn't want to bother you, but I thought you should know." "Know what?" "Daniel didn't show up to Vanessa's wedding." The world seemed to stop. "What?" "He left her a note this morning. Said he couldn't go through with it. That he'd made a mistake leaving you, and an even bigger mistake getting engaged to someone else so quickly. He's gone. No one knows where. I stood in the quiet garden, processing this information. Daniel had left Vanessa at the altar, the same way he'd left me, only more publicly. More devastatingly, is Vanessa okay? I heard myself ask. She's not well. She's humiliated. Heartbroken. The guests had already arrived when she found the note. She had to announce it in front of everyone. My mother paused. I know you two aren't speaking, but she's your sister, Charlotte. She's alone right now. I closed my eyes. I felt the weight of this moment. The choice in front of me. I could feel victorious. Vindicated. This was poetic justice at its finest. Vanessa experiencing exactly what she'd put me through. Only worse. But standing there in my wedding dress, married to a man who'd chosen me, surrounded by people who loved me, I realized something. I didn't want revenge anymore. I just wanted peace. Tell her I'm sorry, I said quietly. Tell her I know how much it hurts, and if she needs to talk, she can call me. Not today, but when she's ready. My mother was quiet for a moment. That's very generous of you, sweetheart. It's not generous. It's just, I've been where she is. And it's awful. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, even her. We said goodbye, and I walked back to the reception where Marcus was waiting. Everything okay? He asked, searching my face. I told him what happened. I watched his expression shift from shock to something softer. Understanding. Do you want to leave? Go see her? No, I said firmly. Today is our day. She has other people who can help her. But tomorrow or next week when she's ready, I'll be there. Not as the sister she wronged, but as someone who understands what she's going through. Marcus pulled me close. You're a better person than I am. No. I'm just done carrying anger. It's too heavy. We danced until midnight, surrounded by the people who mattered, celebrating a marriage that had started as a strategy, but had become something real, something worth keeping. So that's my story. Looking back now, I realized something important. This was never really about revenge. It was about refusing to disappear, about refusing to let someone else's betrayal define my worth. Marcus and I just celebrated our 6-month anniversary. We're happy, not in that performative, posted on social media way, but in the quiet, steady way that actually lasts. We built our relationship on honesty, and that makes all the difference. As for Vanessa, we talk now, not often, and it took a long time to get here. She apologized eventually. A real apology, not the kind where someone says sorry but blames you in the same breath. And I forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because I deserved peace. Daniel? I heard he moved to another state, started over somewhere else. I don't think about him much anymore. The truth is, when someone betrays you, you have 2 choices. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it teach you. I chose the second option. And yes, I made some messy choices along the way, but those messy choices led me to something real. Sometimes the best response to betrayal isn't revenge. It's healing. It's choosing yourself. It's building a life so full of genuine love and joy that what you lost doesn't matter anymore. So I want to ask you something. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, family, a partner, a friend, how did you handle it? Did you choose revenge or did you choose peace? And looking back, do you think you made the right choice? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, we all need a reminder that we're worth more than how we've been treated. Thank you for listening.